All right, so welcome to episode 14 of the Breaking Bio podcast. Today is Friday, January 18th here in Australia. My name is Stephen Hamblin from the University of New South Wales, and I've got with me today Morgan.
Hi, Morgan Jackson, PhD student at the University of Guelph.
And we're joined by a special guest today, Jaden Walker.
Hey there, everybody. Jaden, I guess, biology student, University of Central Oklahoma.
We're going to chat today with Jaden and get into some of the stuff he does. Jaden, why don't you start off by telling us what you're interested in science-wise and what your big topics are?
Well, science-wise, I like anything biology-related, to be perfectly honest. But if we go down to specific interests, I follow entomology and very, very interested in myriapods, so centipedes and millipedes, and a lot of arachnida and roaches. So I basically like the stuff most people are afraid of.
What year are you in? Like, you're in your undergrad right now, right?
Yeah, I'm finishing up my bachelor's degree. I've got a couple of semesters left to go. And then I'm going to go start on a PhD after that, and specifically entomology.
So do you have any idea what you're going to focus on for your PhD?
I've had a few options, but what it seems to be drilling down to is mite diversity and mite relationships to millipedes. It hasn't really been studied in any kind of detail, so we don't know if we're looking at symbionts or parasites or what we're looking at with mite populations with them. So I've just been curious because I've always had pet millipedes and wondered why the mites are always there.
Cool. That's really that's quite interesting. I've got a friend up in Ottawa who does a lot of mite association work. So it's kind of funny to find another person who's going to be looking at mites that are found in association with other insects.
It's the only way I can do a project that works with both myriapods and arachnids.
No, I think it's a fantastic problem. Like you said, not many people work on it, and it seems like anything anybody does on it is new and fascinating. So I think it's a really, really cool avenue for future study. Be looking forward to seeing what you guys get.
Yeah, and it gives me a chance to play around with systematics a lot, which I really enjoy.
So you thinking, are you doing matching phylogenies, so try and figure out the phylogeny of the millipedes and match it up with maybe the mite phylogeny to see how their evolution may have differed? Or
well, someone's already done a little bit of work into that. I have autism, so I'm really bad with names, but he's at a school up in Columbus, Ohio, and I've already been in contact with him and gotten some spreadsheets about the relatedness between mites and millipedes, which species are on which species, and it's given me a good head start onto what I'm doing.
I do want to return to the topic of autism, but before we do, can you, for our listeners who aren't too familiar with them, most people will, be familiar with spiders, of course, but Myriapoda, isn't really a name a lot of our listeners are going to be familiar with. So why don't you talk about them a little bit and lay them out for the people at home?
Essentially, you're looking at millipedes and centipedes are the two big groups in there, Chilopoda and Diplopoda. And they're arthropods that are really, really primitive. They're some of the first ones that came onto land, evolutionarily speaking. And they're the ones that have, for millipedes, 2 legs per body segment, for centipedes, 1 leg per body segment. And they've got anywhere from, I see about maybe 30 to, I think the largest is 800 and some legs. And they're highly segmented, of course. And with the Diplopoda, you've got detrivores and herbivores. And Chilopoda, you've got pure carnivores. And they have really neat defense mechanisms that I'm interested in. The centipedes, you've got fangs and venom glands. And in the millipedes, you've got essentially a cyanotoxin. I think hydrogen cyanide is the most common. And they extrude these through spiracles, so openings on the sides. And my favorite little story that relates to that is I love to talk about the lemurs down in Madagascar that will pick up millipedes, rub them all over their bodies to keep mosquitoes off of them with these toxins. But at the same time, when they lick it off their fingers, they get high off of it. And I just love seeing other primates doing stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be how I'd explain Myriapoda in a quick little nutshell.
I like it. I think you may have
Very
just
good.
increased the awareness by about 1,000% in our audience.
Yeah, my philosophy is the more legs it's got, the more I like it. So anything over 6, I'm happy with. So that covers Arachnida and Myriapoda.
That sounds like a good life philosophy. I noticed on your Twitter profile that you label yourself an amateur entomologist. How do you view your amateur status? Is this something you've been doing for a long time, or is it?
Well, I mean, the way it was described to me is you can call yourself an amateur if you're not getting paid for what you do. And I'm definitely not getting paid for what I do. I've been collecting and observing bugs ever since I was a little kid. And I believe I was about 16 when I got my first official pet bug, like a tarantula from the pet store. And since then, it's ballooned to, I think the most I've ever had at one time is over 12,000. And that's just spiders. I'm not counting like my roach colonies I keep as well. But
Sorry, 12,000? You had 12,000 pet spiders?
12,000 pet tarantulas. So we're talking big spiders.
So they're not even
too.
like little social things that, you could say, oh, there's probably about 100 in that baby food jar. You were actually dealing with 12,000 tarantulas at one point.
in separate containers. So that's how I knew how many I had. I got heavy into breeding. I've done conservation efforts through breeding. I've just done breeding because it's fun, because it's a little profitable. I've gotten to the point now where 16 years into the hobby, I now breed to pay for my new spiders. So I don't actually pay money for pet spiders anymore. In fact, on Monday, I'm shipping out 6,000 hissing cockroaches to someone. And that's just going to pay for a couple more spiders I want.
Okay, so we're going to just sit on this topic for a little bit because this is fascinating. So if you had 12,000 tarantulas at one point, how much room does 12,000 tarantulas in separate containers? So I'm thinking you've probably got like the little deli containers I've seen, like little condiment containers, or were these in? They're obviously not in big aquaria or anything.
Anywhere from 5-gram vials to about a 5-gallon aquarium, depending on the size of the spider.
Right.
And it took half of the bedroom that I still lived in at my parents' house.
12,000 spiders. Were your parents extremely nervous people?
They didn't like that I had them. I'll say that much.
Did you ever have any?
Did you ever have any escapes, or you come in and go, "Uh-oh, where are they?"
I've been doing this 16 years, and as I said, I've had tons of them, and they're always coming and going. So total numbers probably around 20,000. But I have had one escape, and the spider climbed out of the cage onto the side of it and built a web from the side of the cage to my desk and sat there for 6 hours till I got home. At which point I picked it up and put it back in the tank and got a better lid.
That's pretty astonishing. I'm still blown away by 12,000 spiders sitting in your bedroom at one point. That number is just...
At the moment, I've got about 30, and my wife has, I think, 25. So we're much lower numbers now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got friends that have got, in the 30 number range for spiders and stuff like that, and I know how much room it took up in their bedroom to have that. I'm just trying to explode that in multiple factors.
That 12,000 was mostly first instar, second instar babies.
Yeah, in tiny
so they
little
were
jars.
in little 5-gram vials.
Yeah, but that's a hell of a lot of 5-gram vials. That adds up to a fairly incredible
you should
amount
have seen
of
how
space.
long it took me to feed and water all of these things.
Oh, I can imagine.
That was the part I didn't like.
So what kind of spiders, what kind of tarantulas were you looking at? Were you looking at North American natives, or were you usually dealing with bred populations from what are normally neotropical, so Central and South America, Costa Rica?
Mine are from all over the world. I've got some from India, Vietnam, different parts of Africa, South America, North America. I keep a pretty big variety myself, though I do tend to prefer Old World. They have a little more attitude and aggression, and I think that's a little more interesting personality-wise.
So, Jaden, you mentioned earlier you have autism, and you're an autism advocate. So, tell us a little bit about that. How that's impacted your scholarly life, your personal life, anything you mention, and what kind of advocacy you do.
Sure. I can go on for a long time about this. So if I go on too much, just tell me to shut the hell up. I went undiagnosed with autism most of my life. I'm fairly high functioning. I'm very good at faking being normal for short periods of time. Most people don't see the down periods at home where I'm stressed out and I just lay on the couch and stare at the wall or stare at a video game for hours because it's a better world for me to deal with. But I have an IQ of 180, so that's how I faked being normal my whole life. Failed out of every school I've been in since middle school, dropped out of high school, got my diagnosis at 25, and it absolutely changed my life because I knew what was wrong and how to fix it and how to compensate for it and all this kind of stuff. So once I started college and I had accommodations, like some of the obvious examples are no group work, extended deadlines if I need them, extended policies for like absences, things along these lines have really, really changed my life, which now I'm in college with a 3.8 GPA. So, I mean, that definitely has turned things around. I mean, it's not exactly subtle. But I mean, a lot of the work I do as far as being an autism advocate, I run a blog on Tumblr. I think I've got, oh God, I'm probably going to be off on this number, but I want to say about 60,000 followers now. It's called Asperger's Issues, Asperger's being the more high-functioning version of autism. And what I do is, since I read so many damn articles and blog posts and funny images and stuff about autism throughout my day, I just started saving them all, and now I'm aggregating them through this site. So that way people can go to that and they can see, okay, here's some firsthand perspectives on autism. Here's an article about how someone dealt with this that helped them along. Here's just some stuff to laugh at, like, oh God, yeah, that happens to me every day. Here's a perspective from a parent about how hard this was for them to go through with their kid, like getting them the proper accommodations in elementary school or something like that. And this blog is something I just kind of push really hard. And then at the same time, through the Disability Services Department at my college, I'm on call whenever they get an autistic student that needs help finding their way around campus, finding out what supports they have available for them, if they need tutoring and they want someone that's not going to be as a neurotypical would be a non-autistic. So someone that's not going to teach them the way a neurotypical would learn the course. Just things along those lines. And it's been really different, the college experience for me because of this. And I can tell I'm now rambling on this subject, which is one of my wonderful symptoms. So I don't know, I'll leave it there in case you got more questions on this. But
Well, yeah, so you're transitioning into grad school, and I'm wondering what issues you anticipate when it comes to your autism, and what issues remain that you've seen in academia in general that we need to deal with and help provide supports and things like that.
Well, grad school is actually heaven to me. It's I have one teacher. I don't have to even see them every day. And I get one topic, and I study it as deeply as I want to go. So, I mean, that's like an autistic person's dream right there. As far as the regular schooling, the one thing that bothers me is the lumping in of so much work for so many different classes at the same time, because we're not exactly known for our multitasking abilities. So when I get homework, I have to do one topic start to finish before I start another one. And a lot of teachers don't understand when you need to do that and why it may take longer to get their work in. So that's probably the biggest issue I've seen.
Do you envision a way to solve that, or?
Just understanding on the teacher's part. A lot of accommodations for people with autism are just patience, essentially. Just understanding that we do things a little bit different, but we still do them. This is why I've chosen to be a college professor, because academia at the college level is just so fitting for me.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I may not be good with facial expressions, but I caught that one.
Yeah, there's just a well-known problem right now of everybody stampeding into the college professor job, and
Yeah,
not being enough
heard, but
spaces. But
yeah, I got to say though, anything's better than $700 a month disability.
Yes.
well, in that
Well,
regard,
except for
then
grad school, because grad school
Yeah.
pays less than that, unfortunately. So
yeah,
Well,
you
then
don't.
once you
glad I
get past
got
that
the-
little bit, then you're going to be, then
I'm
it
glad I
starts
got the
getting
buffer
better.
of Social Security then.
Yeah.
As long as you don't go into academia expecting to ever be rich, you're going to be fine.
No,
Yeah.
no, I know better.
Good
I mean,
stuff.
grad school differs where you go. I mean, in Canada, we did okay, especially compared to some of the horror stories you hear in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping to move to Toronto after I finish my degree.
Good choice.
Always loved
Ooh.
that city.
Well, I don't really like Toronto, but it's only an hour from here, so I guess I have to support that decision. But
Well, I mean, it's probably better than Guelph.
that's just rude.
Yeah. Well, suck it,
Well, there's
Ontario.
nothing wrong with Guelph. Guelph's awesome.
Do you think there's anything particular about entomology that drew you in terms of maybe relation to the autism? Is it?
Well, with autism, we like subjects that we can delve into head first that are really deep and complex. Some examples: there's a lot of autistic people that get obsessed with trains, train schedules, train models, train engines, or ones that get obsessed with baseball statistics, because that's a subject you can pick apart forever. Entomology for me it's the biggest field in biology as far as number of things to study. You're never going to study everything in a lifetime. So no matter how far I go into it, theoretically, I could finish with myriapods one day and just go, okay, I've done everything. Oh, wow, okay, let's jump over here to roaches, or hey, let's go take a look at bees. Like, there's so many different topics you can jump into and never finish with. So I mean, it's the never-ending puzzle of it that really got a hold of me.
Well, I'd like to just put in a plug for microbes here as being equally large.
Yes.
I suppose you can't put 20,000 of them in a jar, quite the same way, but.
Well, you can, but the jar is just this big.
Yeah.
It doesn't take up half a room, so.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, I'm trying to remember how one of my teachers related it, and again, I'm really bad with numbers, but I want to say he said that there's something like 4 million described species, and 1 million of them are beetles. There's something like that.
It's a very large percentage like that. I think the beetles right now are, again, I'm going off memory because I don't pay much attention to beetles, but I think they're about 750 to 800,000. But yeah, they're expected to be well over 1 million. Closer
Yeah,
to 2
I
million,
would
probably.
I would love going into Coleoptera, but trying to pick apart all those different tiny black beetles and figuring out which one's which, I think I'd go insane doing that one.
Yeah, the tiny little black beetles are the worst. The absolute worst. I ignore them.
I've seen some pinned collections, and I can't even fathom how they pin these things.
Yeah, it's tricky. It can be tricky, that's for sure. So.
I was just going to ask Morgan, do you stick with the large colored beetles because they're like the charismatic beetles?
I don't deal with beetles. I deal with flies, which is kind of the other thing that most people don't necessarily get into. But yeah, I ignore beetles completely. I kind of think that they're like the anti-hipster of the insects because everybody seems to work on beetles and know them. So I like to go things people don't know about. Probably haven't heard about it.
Beetles and ants seem to be the big two, right?
Yeah, they are certainly the two areas where there's the largest number of work going on within the systematics community. So. Which is a little weird.
That, and I think you find the most casual entomologists doing Lepidoptera, probably.
Yeah, Lepidoptera. Well, again, this is because the tools for identifying them have become so easy and so ubiquitous. Is that at least in our lab we call the butterflies the moths, and now the odonates, so the dragonflies and damselflies, we call them the birds of the insect world because there's easy field guides for working with them. So you can have naturalists that go out and start doing their same thing with birding as they do with oding and mothing. So yeah, in that regard.
Yeah, I can't say too much. I've got a mounted atlas moth behind my computer over here.
That's all right. And I'm just kind of observing, but is that a Luna moth on your neck?
Yes,
or is that not
Luna moth on that side and Cecropia moth on that side.
There you go.
I've got bugs tattooed all over me.
I noticed the beetle on your hand as well. It looked like a tenebrion or something.
It's a roach.
Oh, it's a roach.
It's a roach.
Okay.
Morgan, I just kind of got to call bullshit on you because, I mean, you may say you deal with flies and you don't have anything to do with beetles, but you wrote a book, God damn it.
It's true. I did write a field guide on beetles, but to be fair, I was mostly the graphic designer. I didn't do much of the writing, and that was just to pay the bills for a year while I was off school.
Yeah, I'm still calling bullshit.
Okay, well, I don't pay much attention to beetles. But that's the point, though, is I can step in because there's been so much previous work, so I can step in and work on beetles when I need to pay some bills, because I can stand on the shoulders of literal giants and build off of their work to make these accessible guides for people. Whereas if I were to go through and try and figure it out, I couldn't tell you anything about the beetles themselves. But
now, see, you got to take the challenge like I just did, where I'm helping build an identification key for centipedes.
I'm big time into making biological identification accessible for the masses and for everybody to play with. So, yeah.
Now, if you can just help me get some iPhone apps to do it with, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that'll be the
next
next
step
step
for
for sure.
Suck.
Yeah, they're unfortunately a little bit bad, but there's too much diversity to try and cover in $1 app.
Well, I paid $10 for. I paid $10 for the Autobahn's insect identification guide once, and this thing was like the equivalent of maybe a 20-page children's ID guide. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can get books that I could buy at the bookstore that are 300, 400 pages thick of IDing, why can't we put that into an app and charge the same amount? That's what I don't get. Because I'd much rather just have them on my phone than in a book.
You guys need to talk to me because I actually write iOS apps. So.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
So where's the Breaking Bio app then? We should totally turn this into an app.
I'm actually.
How many apps have you written? Hold on.
I'm actually in the middle of writing an app for the genetics conference we're having here. So I'm,
Really?
Yeah.
You're just full of surprises, Steven. Every time we talk, you come up with some other piece of,
Hey, look,
unlock kind of thing.
Jaden's been collecting bugs since he was 6. I've been programming since I was 8. I wasted my youth too.
It's not wasted. You're both getting paid or planning to get paid for what you're doing. Not wasted.
Hey,
investment.
One of my favorite quotes of all time from John Lennon: "Time you enjoy wasting is not wasted."
There you go.
Here.
That's how I live my life right there.
Good.
I don't know. At least your guys' activities can pay off, though. I mean, nobody's gonna. You can make money sending 6,000 hissing cockroaches, but nobody wants a vial full of viruses. I'm telling you that much.
Generally not. Well, there are people that would buy a vial full of
cockroaches.
viruses, but they're not the ones you want to probably be associated with.
Yeah, I guess I kind of walked into that, didn't I?
Yeah. So now
on the side,
Breaking Bio is on like the FBI watch list. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Sorry, Jaden. By association, you're now a bioterrorist. Yeah.
Oh boy. Not again.
Yeah.
Not again.
So one more thing I think I wouldn't mind bringing up, Jaden, is that you're back to university now, but you had been a professional musician for a period of time, correct?
Yeah, quite a period of time actually. Started as a musician when I was 5. Unknown to my parents, since I had no autism diagnosis, I'm actually a music savant. All they knew is I got really, really good at any instrument they ever bought me. So I've been in tons and tons of bands. I did the hired musician thing where professional bands need someone to play on tour, so I'd get booked and go on tour all over the world. So from about the time I was 16 until I injured my wrist at 26 or 27, I always forget exactly when, I was just a touring musician. I played everywhere, played any instrument. I've written my own albums where I just play all the instruments because I got sick of dealing with other people when writing music. And I've done, and other than getting the horrible drug and drinking habits that I saw everyone else with. That was my life for over 10 years.
there's a strain of thought that says that music and science are intimately related, especially in mathematical substrates, but also in the mindset and in general temperament. What do you think? Do you feel that the two connect for you?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Music is very, very much mathematical to me. The pattern of the notes, the pattern of the beats, it's all just math. Best example I can think of is there's a Tool song called Lateralis, and the entire song is based off the numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. The instruments jump around to different time signatures based on it, and all the note progressions are based off the same sequence. So it's using the 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and it's just using those numbers over and over again in different ways. And it's a really fascinating song to listen to once you know what you're listening to. But I mean, all music is just a breakdown of a different type of math. Whether it's the simple, everything's in patterns of 4s and the notes are in patterns of 3s, or if it's more complex like that song Lateralis. But I mean, that's all it really is. I mean, it's real easy to work with once you realize that.
All right, so we're coming to the end here, and we're going to wrap it up. But I want to make one more note here. You've got a bunch of My Little Ponies in the background there, and I understand that you're a brony.
Yeah, it's a small fraction of the collection.
So here's your chance to represent the science community for the brony community. Anything you want to say?
Wow, that was unexpected.
I know.
That's how Stephen hosts. He just
we're all about the gotcha question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the shirt I'm wearing right now, yeah, best pony.
Nice. So
yeah, the show does teach good scientific values if you look for them. There's several episodes on it. One of the main characters, I'm going to get laughed at because of the name, Twilight Sparkle. She's all about books and learning and does teach scientific values in a few episodes, which is really, really cool when I caught that.
All right.
So don't write it off. It's worth at least checking out a little bit of.
Hey,
Fair enough.
I don't write anybody's interest off. That's considering the
Good
weird,
idea.
stupid crap I'm into. It's not a good stone for me to be throwing. Yeah. All right.
It's just I wear mine on my chest because no one's gonna mess with the tattooed guys. So.
It's true. You do have a little bit of street cred in that regard, so.
I try.
What's the name of the Tumblr, Morgan? The Looks Like a Scientist? Or This Is What Science Looks Like?
Yeah.
Jaden, are you on
I've
there?
seen that one, yeah. I've seen it,
You should totally submit.
Yeah,
totally submit. I saw you submitted to Chris Buttle's.
Wait, no.
This is an entomologist.
I have been on that before. I
yeah?
have been on that before. I was holding a millipede in one hand, wearing my Twilight Sparkle Read a Book shirt, and had a My Little Pony figure in the other hand.
Sounds good then. So we've basically come to the end here, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today. We're going to play out to a song that you sent me, if you want to introduce it for us.
This is Endless Night. It's by myself and a friend of mine on piano, Alpha Deus. You can find this and all my music on iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, anything like that. Just search for The Eternal. And you can also find me on Twitter under the same name if you're really bored. I rant about everything under that account. Most people don't follow it.
Fair enough. All right, well, thanks for joining us for episode 14, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
It's been my pleasure, guys.